for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we pray this day for thy blessing. Guide us in our conduct toward ourselves and others, that we be humble with merit, so we not adjourn in anger. May our meeting be informative and productive. In the name we pray. Amen. Mr. Egan, not an item discussing the closed session.
Mr. Chairman, the board met in closed session for conference with legal counsel of significant exposure to litigation pursuant to subdivision D2 of Government Code Section 5495 6.91 case, and there was no reportable action.
Thank you. Agenda approval, additions, and organization. Anything, staff? Board? We have a motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Public comment. We'll go through these. I got a whole bunch of them. As I received them. Matt McFarland.
Supervisor Powell, if I may request to speak after the other units.
Sure. We're in the bottom then.
Wherever you want.
Chris Mock. Chris?
Good morning. My name is Chris Mock. I'm here today off duty as the Vice President of the Lassen County Peace Officers Association. Peace Officers Association represents the Sheriff's Department correctional officers, correctional supervisors, cooks, clerical and logistical staff, and public safety dispatchers. I'm here today to announce in this forum that the Peace Officers Association has declared an impasse in the MOU bargaining unit proceedings. Through our discussion, our last MOU expired in December, and since then our discussions we feel have been very frustrating and have broken down altogether. So we would like to come here and speak directly to the board. We need the board's help to maintain our staffing levels. I've been at the Sheriff's Department since 2005 in corrections for 10 years now. I've been there through when we had the Lassen Community Correctional Facility, and through public safety realignment, and through Proposition 47. I've seen the transition of our jail go from a jail to what's now a regional prison. We're dealing with a more dangerous environment than we ever have. We're dealing with inmate uprisings, fights, and constantly finding weapons with the inmates. Our staff are working long hours and a lot of overtime in order to meet staffing levels. We have a very young and very new staff, and we are constantly dealing with turnover. We need the board's help to try to maintain some experience and longevity in our staff. Excuse me one second. I feel that a better salary and health benefits would help us keep our experience and our longevity there. Our officers are feeling their safety is in danger, and I feel that the board's help in this matter would be where we need to go from here on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Okay. Don, the user. Is that right?
That'll work.
That'll work?
Yeah.
Close enough?
Close enough. Think forward.
Okay.
I've never done this before, so please bear with me. I got a handout for everybody, and you or
Here, why don't you get those down and make sure they get to the right place.
I want to.
You better leave some out here on the counters. Is that okay?
Yeah. The press.
The clerk. Have the board, and here are leftovers. You can do with them whatever you
All right. My name is Don Heiser. I wanted to bring attention to a situation that's occurring out in Standish-Lisco Fire Department. The board of directors out there is making decisions that are adversely affecting the community and the department. And we have addressed the board out there several times with our concerns over the last couple of years. And it has fallen on deaf ears, so I'm bringing it to your guys' attention. I gave you that packet, and it has a list of all the firefighters, also the OES chief, Eric Ewing, Dave Janae, who is the unit chief out there, the Dan Paulson and Jim Rubru, who are fire chiefs for Janesville and Susan River. I don't expect you to just take my word for what I'm putting out there. I would like to see you call these people. They're all important people in the community. All the volunteers volunteer their time. They're hard at work. And the situations that are occurring out there is totally unacceptable in a volunteer department and just in a general workplace. Also in that packet, there is a vote of no confidence that I included that is signed by all of the volunteers. And there's also a letter in there for a hostile work environment against Paul Smith because of his actions and his constant demeaning behavior, comments, I guess you could say, towards the volunteers. It makes it a very unhospitable place to work. And I know we're volunteers, but we're trying to do this for our community. And you're not going to have any volunteers out there if it's allowed to continue.
Hey, Don, now, I understood that all the volunteers walked off
Yes, sir.
the job. Are they back to work?
Yes. I was notified. I picked up a letter on the 12th of August that said I had been terminated on July 20th. And whenever the volunteers found that out, they all quit and resigned. We had an emergency meeting with me and all volunteers, and it was discussed that we were going to try going through this type of process. I went and saw an attorney. I'm bringing it to your guys' attention. It wasn't in the best interest of the community for them to quit. So whenever I found out they quit, I called all the fire chiefs in the surrounding districts. I called Dave Janae and Eric Ewing to make sure that our district was covered and everybody was aware that they didn't have a fire department out there. So at least we were covered that way. Our response time would have just been a lot longer. But all the volunteers, whenever we had the meeting, they all took an oath, I guess you could say, that we were going to serve the community to the best of our abilities. And by quitting and not having a fire department, that wasn't in the best interest of the community. So yes, they did go back. So we have a fire department right now, but I don't know how long it's going to be there if we don't get any kind of assistance, advice, something to alleviate the situation. In addition, in that pack, I included the termination letter that I got, which is in violation of my rights as under the Government Code 220, Title 1, Division 4, Chapter 9.6, Firefighter Bill of Rights, which specifically states in order to remove a fire chief from his position, you have to give him all the due process rights. You have to notify him 30 days in advance that you're going to take action. You have to give him the right to an appeal, so on and so forth. Also in that pack, I included the Firefighter Bill of Rights, if you guys are familiar with it. It's all in there. I also included, I requested a copy of my personnel record on the 17th, which I still haven't seen a copy of my personnel record, which I am told they have 10 days to give it to me. And if you look at the other specifications, they have up to 30 days. But I requested that, and I haven't seen that. I also requested a copy of the board minutes for the last 2 years because I wanted to come here and actually have dates of when things were presented, when I became chief, all that kind of stuff, and they have not provided that for me either. So I have to just assume a lot of this stuff because I have no other choice. I don't have any documentation that I can refer to. So I have to assume that they removed me from the position because in the paperwork that I signed for the volunteer fire chief, it's an at-will position. But like I said, I went to the attorney and he looked over all this stuff. It's an at-will position, but if you look on page, I think it's page 5 of that, it says, under other requirements, that after 6 months probation, you go to a full-time employee. So that scrubs out the at-will position. So they had to give me all of my rights underneath the firefighter bill of rights. Now, that's just some of the stuff that I want to bring up. I've dedicated a lot of time to this, a lot of money. Whenever we have training, you guys know how hard it is to get approved to give somebody money. We have to bring it to the board. It's got to be an action item. They have to say, yeah, it's okay and everything. Well, it's already been approved by our board to pay for the training and stuff that we have. They said, we'll pay for anything because we want to make you guys better. Well, you don't usually find out 3 months in advance that there's training coming up. You find out maybe a month, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. So what I do is I write a check out of my personal account. I've written out like $1,000 checks so I can get my volunteer firefighters trained. That's just something that I do. And then I put in for the money to get back. I get the money back from the board, but it might be 3-4 months later. I'll have $1,000 out. You know, things like that. I went above and beyond trying to satisfy the board's expectations of this position, but it's a volunteer position. It's I don't know what else I can do for it, and I don't know what else we need to do to keep the department out there.
Don, you do realize this board has no jurisdiction over special districts.
Yes, I do. But I do want it to be brought to your attention. I wanted to get it to the media. I don't know what else to do but to put it out there. I do not want to break the district. It's a poor district. We do not have any money. And just the firefighter bill of rights, they're up to $2,500, $2,500, I can't remember right off the top of my head anymore, for each violation. The violations in the Brown Act, that from the last meeting, I've got the recorded minutes. I don't know how much those are, but I mean, if I push it past this, the department ain't going to have money to pay for that. And I don't know what else to do from this point. Mr. Janae's here. He's asked, answer any questions that you have on the decisions they're making, the way they're affecting the whole firefighting community.
Public comment is a place for you to tell us. It's not really a place to debate, for us to ask questions.
Okay.
We can receive your information. And, I think the people of the district elected the board, and that board hired you. I mean, that's where you got to work this out.
The board was appointed by you guys.
The board was appointed by us.
Yes. And if nothing else,
In lieu of an election, because there was only one candidate running for each of the seats, so we customarily, to save the cost of the election, we
Okay,
had the appointment, but if people ran and there was more people running, then they'd actually have to.
If people don't run reappointment, we have no authority to unappoint.
yeah, I understand that. But with that being said, I know his term's up coming December of next year.
I'm sure he's not reelected.
Well, that's what I'm not sure if he's going to be on the ballot, but I'm putting it to you guys. We do not want him on the board anymore. So
If it comes down to an appointment, well, then that will be on the agenda, and then you could,
do I have to come back in and speak at that meeting?
it'd be best if that happens, if it comes to that. If it comes back to appointments like before, this board is up for appointments, and you can surely come and state your feelings for who you want to support and who you don't want to support.
Okay. I just wanted it to be known, I've been dealing with this for probably 4 or 5 years. I've been on the department for almost 10. The decisions they're making is not beneficial to the department nor the community.
Okay. Thank you, Dawn, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean, there's only so much we can do. And comment is not a forum to debate, like I say, an issue. But thank you for bringing that to our attention. I appreciate it. And for the information, I will read this more carefully tonight at home. Thank you, Don.
I would like to ask the gentleman a question.
Go ahead.
Hi, Don. My name is Iona McCain, and about 5 or 6 years ago, I think we put up some funds, about $10,000. I think you remember the outcome of that. There was misappropriation of funds at that time. Do you remember this at all? All right, and I don't know for sure, but I know that we were trying to volunteer everything that he could do to do a survey and get all these special lots out there on Laura Lane and off of Belfast Ranch, and then we were assessed, I think it was $150 per year for, CAL FIRE and all that sort of thing. We weren't notified, and I don't think anybody on Belfast Road was notified about this conflict. Are you all going to have a special meeting out there? Bring in the neighborhood community?
The board meetings are the third Monday.
The third, okay.
They just changed it the other day, but they're the third Monday. Everybody can come and voice their opinion.
But did you notify the people out there in the community that this was a problem out there?
Well, that's why I'm bringing it to the media.
So you haven't yet done that?
No, I don't have any other way to do it, but
I'll try to spread the word.
So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to move on. Thank you, Don, for your presentation. We appreciate the information. If somebody wants to put it on as an agenda item, then we can debate it, discuss it in detail, but until that happens, we cannot. Okay, we're going to move on. Mike Williams. Hey, Mike.
Good morning. I'm Mike Williams. I'm the Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of SEMSA, your ambulance service. You all saw kindly to issue us a new contract on the 1st of July. We thank you for that. And when we made a proposal, we said we wanted to improve the health care of the community. One of the things that just happened today is we took a delivery of our 4th brand new ambulance. These things are about $250,000 a copy. So we have good, dependable, reliable transportation. But what I'm really here to let you know is Ben and I just came from the helipad at Banner Lassen, where our new helicopter is being put into operation. This is a different approach than has ever been taken anywhere in the country. Predominantly for rural areas, we are trying to find ways to economically be self-sufficient and not have to depend on any public funds of any kind. And by having the helicopter service, we're better able to do that, but we're better able to serve the community. This is a partnership between SEMSA, who you know, the Air Methods Corporation, which is the largest air ambulance provider in the United States, and Banner Lassen Hospital. We are all working together. Our flight nurses are also qualified and come from Banner's hospital. Our flight medics are local people from the community, and we're trying to put together a service that will guarantee that any patient that needs transport out of the hospital will be able to have that. If that helicopter cannot fly, we're basing a critical care ground transport ambulance there, and the flight crew will take that patient to wherever he needs to go. We've also worked out an arrangement with NorCal and with the local leadership that we will be doing this in a rotation basis for what we call scene calls or 911 calls. And starting tomorrow, Mountain Life Flight will be on, and then on the opposite days we'll be on. So trying to keep everybody viable and productive and helping. So your community now has 2 air ambulance services that we hope will better serve everybody. And I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Thank you, Mike. I need to know you guys are doing a terrific job, and the community appreciates it.
Thank you very much. We're proud to be here. Thank you.
We're proud to have you. Thank you, Mike. Dean Grout.
Good morning.
Hey, Dean.
So I just got a real quick, put out a press release yesterday. The drug take-back program, we have operated it since 2010. In 2014, they didn't host it. There were some legislative changes proposed, and they thought those would take care of the issue of collecting unused medications. Unfortunately, they didn't remedy the problem, so we got notified last week that the DEA was going to offer partnership in the program again, which we're happy with. We want to get unused medications out of our medicine cabinets in our homes. So on the 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 at the Sheriff's Office, we'll be collecting those medications. It's an anonymous process. People can bring them in. We ask that they bring them in their pill bottles because it's unlawful to remove them from the marked pill bottles and put them in a different container. But once they get there, they can put them in a full container or just dump them in themselves. So we don't want to, we don't need to know who they are, what they're bringing, anything else, but we want those medications disposed of properly. So we're just trying to get the word out. Again, that's September 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 at the Sheriff's Office. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Lee Meter Jr. Did I say that right?
I'm a local volunteer firefighter at Spanish Lake. I'm here to support Mr. Hauser. In the past, we've had pretty much no support from the board or anything, any medical supplies we need. They give us a hard time about getting us new stuff. We had to recently go out of pocket for new blood pressure cuffs and stethoscopes because our board didn't want to buy them. Mr. Hauser is he's been our main support since I've been on the department, and he's the only thing that we had that gave us any sort of backup as far as getting what we need, or if we have problems or anything. Don's always been the person that took care of it. Also, I received I called Paul Smith, sorry, August 20th when we found out about them relieving Don of his position. And I informed him that some of the firefighters were debating on leaving the department if we couldn't get Don back as chief. And Paul Smith had laughed at me and told me that that wouldn't be a problem. They already had our positions filled and our area covered. So I'm basically here today to support Don. I too agree that Paul Smith, possibly other board members need to be replaced on the board. Just to add to it, like Don said, we've needed stuff, and he's gone out of pocket for quite a bit of stuff, training, and I mean the board wouldn't even buy. We needed oil for the trucks for our engines, and the board wouldn't even front cost for the oil. Don had to buy oil for our engines out of his pocket. So I'm basically, like I said, just here to support Don and give my opinion on the matter of replacing Paul Smith. Thank you.
Next, we got Robert. Can't read your item. I don't know what it says.
Right.
What's your last name?
Craddock.
Okay.
My name's Robert Craddock, firefighter with St. Litchfield. Here to support our chief in the decision that the board made as far as removing him. Let the county board know that Paul Smith's disregard for the public safety, the community, firefighter safety, and his actions on the board, requesting that he be removed from that position since he was appointed by this by this board and bring it to you. Thank you.
If you again, you realize we can't unappoint somebody.
Clear. I understand that from earlier, and
Just because we appointed, that it means you have to normally go to the election, and run for election, and move the people vote in. If there's not enough run for the election, like maybe you got 3 seats and only 2 people run. If it's not a quorum, then we would have to make an appointment again.
yes, sir.
Under in circumstances.
Clear. I understand.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you for your time. Jen Davis?
Did you say Clinton Davis?
I did, sir.
Thank you. I have some handouts.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, distinguished staff, I am Clinton Davis, chairperson of the Big Valley EMS Working Group. As you know, we have attempted twice in the past to form a special district for the operation of an advanced life support ambulance in our area, and they have failed. And in the handouts that are coming, I have a summary of the last election, and the district formation portion actually passed. The special tax to support it missed by 4 votes. We were very close. We've done a number of public surveys. We've had public meetings. A large percentage of the areas that people say they do want to have the ambulance, they do want to support with the tax, and they're willing to go to another election. The problem is we need people to support it, and we made it very clear that they're going to have to be actively involved in the campaign, and that we also will probably be paying for the election. It's not fair to come back, I don't think, 3 times and say, would you carry us again? Granted, there is a certain amount of obligation on the parts of the counties to provide services, but we want to be proactive in what we're doing and make sure that it's something that will be viable and will be there for a sustainable amount of time. I don't know if I can get Mike to bring their new helicopter over and place it in Beaver, but we'll try.
Kind of doubt it.
Yeah, I kind of do. The second page is just a breakdown of the different precincts and what the voting were. Just to highlight a couple, you'll notice that the Madeline-Ravendale area was definitely an issue. We had no campaigning efforts that were successful out there. We had some people that had volunteered to hold meetings and educate what's happening. Unfortunately, they came down with pneumonia and the flu and everything during a critical time, and so that's an area we talked about restructuring the boundary lines and just excluding them, but that's still a part of our active service area, and we don't want to cut anything short. It would also mean restructuring the whole tax base and would increase it significantly. So we felt that we can actually go out there with an active campaign, let them know what's happening. They don't realize that that ambulance to service area comes from the Aiden ambulance house. They think it's Susanville or Altura, but we're actually much closer than the other two, and that is our traditional response area. And it would be, again, I'm quite sure, because it's geographic.
The focus, obviously, Ravendale and that one didn't provide much support at all. I mean, it's a fairly small population picture. We're talking about 25 people.
Right.
But I think look at is where you might.
That's our second area. And that's where
they just marginally gave you support. And that's
Yes.
kind of surprising because that's right in the heart of your service area.
Well, it's actually the ranchettes, if you're familiar with the geographical layout. Ranchettes is an area of people who want to be semi-survivalist and live off the grid. And we don't need taxes, we don't need ambulance, we don't need, but yet, the first thing, anything happens, they call 911 right away and ask for fire department and ambulance. So, again, that's an area that we have to, because they were actively campaigning against us, and we know that. Their reasoning was faulted. They say they have the helicopter, and that they can dial the 800 number and the helicopter will fly right to their house. Not understanding, we're starting to get through the process that helicopter cannot respond unless ground support is on its way. And there has to be an ambulance involved. And they have to go through the dispatch
When
system.
you're a survivalist, black helicopters are real important.
Yeah. Well, most of them run and hide when they fly over, so. So anyway, that's just a breakdown. And the last page there, consideration points for a third election. The primary push for us is obviously the degradation of advanced life support in the valley. Mayor's is our major responder just because of geographics. And their EMS staffing is currently down to 1 full-time paramedic and 1 part-time. The ambulance is staffed 3 to 4 24-hour shifts per week with only basic life support. In addition,